Welcome to JC Connect. Yesterday we were discussing about the different types of the bills as well as the different types of payments. Of course, the bills and the payments are similar, but the bills has to be written on the documents and the payment has to be made to the contractors. If you take two examples of the first and final bill, the first and final payment. So once the first and final bill is finalized by the authorities, so then the first and final payment has to be made to the contractors. So in that we have discussed the first and final payment. We have discussed the interim payments or the running payments. So now we can say it is a final payment. So this is the last payment made to the contractor on the running account. It is not the lump sum amount what you are paying to the contractor. It is the last payment, means it is, we can call it is the last part of the work. That is the final part of the work which has completed. In for that we have made it final amount by deducting the security deposits, by preserving in the government organizations as a security deposit for the further maintenance of or the control of the quality of the work by the contractors for further works. It is not the lump sum amount which you are paying to the whole work. It is the final payment made to the contractors on completing the last completing of the work. The full settlement of the, of course it is nothing but it is a full settlement of the account. So advance payment. This means the payment made on the running account to a contractor for work done by him but not measured. It's very important. You make a note of that. Work done by him but not measured. Advance payment is generally made to the contractor but may not be under special circumstances when the work is sufficiently progressed, but measurement cannot be taken for certain valid reasons. The value of the work done shall not be less than the advanced proposed. So detailed measurement shall be taken as soon as possible and advance payment adjusted in the final bill. So this is very important. Advance payment means the work has been completed but the measurement has not been taken due to some valid reasons by the section officer. I already said that uh, the measurements has to be taken by the section officer and that has to be recorded in the measurement book. But sometimes what will happen is that some of the section officers, of course, the whatever the in charge of that region section officer, if he is outstation or if he has official work of his, he cannot visit to the site. In that cases, even if it is taking more than 1 month or 2 months, if he is outside, if he is ill, or if he is outside the country for some programs, in that cases, normally um, the payment will be made by saying only the work but not measurement has been taken. But make sure that uh, blindly it should not be sanctioned. With a rough estimation, like okay, this much I have completed. Sometimes they will the authorities will take the self declaration from the contractor saying that I have completed this much, please provide it. If this much is not completed or if the measurement is taken at the spot at any time, if it is the lesser than the you have made um, agreement or the letter or the if you are taken, if it is less than that, so then the next payment will not be made. In that kind of um, agreement on the bond paper, they will take it. Based on that, they will sanction the amount to the contractors. Sometimes, most of the time, even the officers will not be able to visit to the site. Only through some of the video conferences or some of the videos, if you send the photos, proof of photos at the site, by locating uh, latitude and longitude, as well as some of the um, landmarks, with the photos has to be taken with help of the landmarks. So then, if the contractor, if he is submitting all those documents saying that this much works I have completed, you can see all these things, this much is there with help of the proof and the undertaking, they will take it. Based on that, they are going to give the advance payment. But in this, the measurements were not taken. Of course, this detailed measurement shall be taken in some of the cases. There also the advance payment is made. Sometimes two provisions are there: advance payment without measurements, advance payment with measurements. Of course, with measurements, normally we can call it as interim payment of the bills. Secured advance payment. This payment is made on the security of the materials brought by the contractor to the site work when the contractor is for the complete item of the works. This type of payment may be allowed by the executive engineer in the interest of the work up to an amount not exceeding 75% of the um, imperishable materials. So, lime, sand, paint, and varnishes are considered as perishable materials, and no advance is permissible. Some of the imperishable materials. So, based on that, they will give the advance secured payment. But this advance secured payment is, of course, is very dangerous. But the only the higher authorities can take the risk of this, but no section officer or nobody will take the risk of giving all these things. But normally, the secured advance payment uh, is taken by the only the higher authorities or the executive engineer, um, by observing the quantity of the imperishable materials which he has brought to the site, because roughly they will evaluate it. Okay, this much quantity of the materials he has brought to the site, so he has already invested more money on the materials, so then it is viable that we can give some of the uh, amount, we can release some of the amount to the contractors. The only security is the imperishable materials which he has brought to the site. Preparation, examination, and payment of bills. The bills for the payment shall be prepared with respect to the measurement recorded in the measurement book that I already explained. All entries in the measurement book with regard to the description and the quantity of the work or the supplies made are checked. It's very important that whatever the entries are made in the measurement book has to be checked. It has to be thoroughly checked by the third party inspector, because only the third party inspectors report as a confidential, because he is no way connected with the department, and that has to be verified by the higher authorities. So all the entries in the measurement book has to be verified. So arithmetic calculations of the and content or the area are verified. So when the bill is on a running account, then it is compared with the quantities with the previous bill. So of course, if you are running um, the running account bill that I already explained, then has to be made some arithmetic calculations that how much we have quantity has been brought, how much the quantity is left, how much the work is executed, how much the work is completed. So based on all those things, the payments of the bills has been prepared. So it is checked whether the deduction in respect of the following have been properly made or not. So when you are deducting any amount, the following points has to be uh, taken into account or keep it in mind when you are deducting any of the amount during the final bill. First one, recovery for the advance payment, whether it is recoverable. Recovery in respect of the departmental materials issued to the contractors. Sometimes, most of the time, what will happen is that if the contractor has no money, so then the department itself will arrange the materials to execute the work. So then the deduction has to be made during the final payment, deducting the final materials of the works given by the department. So higher charges for departmental materials issued to the contractors. Most of the time, even if uh, the department is not going to sanction for the longer period, then even you can charge some extra, whatever it is agreed to the contractor during the first phase of execution, because even the department they will also won't get any they cannot produce it on their own, because they have to buy it from the other people. The other people will charge if you are exceeding that contract. The department has to make some contracts with the suppliers with a time bound manner. Okay, we will give the payment within this time, so we'll, then if it is exceeding time, you have to bound by all those agreements. Means you are exceeding that time, that the same charge you can put on the contractor, because the department, it is like idle, they are only helping the contractor to supply the materials. Then the charge has to be bared by the contractor itself, whatever the delay in the bills from the either it is from the department side, either it is from the, or if anybody is not verifying the, is not coming to the site, if they are not submitting the report, if that it is going to happen most of the time. Account to be withheld towards security deposit, that I already explained it. Whatever the amount is there, the security deposit has to be kept before doing the payment. Recovery towards the penalty for the slow progress, non return of empty gunny bags, etc. So some of the things are there during the contract, they will make during the tendering process, or once the tender is allotted to the contractor has to make an agreement with the department saying that I am going to complete the work within the stipulated time. For example, only they will give some relaxation, like 5% deviation the time. Suppose if it is exceeding suppose if I assume that the deadline is the June or July, if he is going to complete in the December, so then the penalty has to be imposed on the contractor, saying that the delay in the work, because once it is delayed, the interlinked things are going to be changed. For all those changes, only the person who has to bear is the contractor. In case of final bills, the field officer should certify that the due fulfillment of the contract and satisfactory completion of the work. Of course, in some of the cases, um, even about 5 or 6% work is pending. Sometimes what will happen is that for that 5 to 6% of the pending works, of course, most of the time, if you want to complete that 5 to 6% of the work, if it is pending, if the rainy season has come, then that will postpone for the work will postpone for another 3 or 4 months. Then in that cases, whatever the amount is there, whatever the interim amount, or if he has not taken any interim, or the whole 95% of the work is going to pending. In that cases, the section officer has to go to the site and saying that only the 5% of the work is pending. So your all the authorities to release the amount, and the same will be verified by the third party inspector. Then the authorities will see all those undertakings or all those recommendations given by the um, section officer as well as uh, the third party inspectors. Then the final payment will be made to the contractors. This will happen most of the time. It has happened in some of the cases, some of the big projects also it has happened. Even held up of this 5% of the work, there is no problem with releasing the 95% of the work. And because whatever the contract he has to make the loan interest, who is going to pay all those things if it is delayed by from the department side, all the things it will be there. Then the memorandum of the payment is made. The competent officer records a formal pay order specifying both in words and in figure and in net amount payable. He has to specify how much the amount should be paid to the contractor. However, the contractor is required to acknowledge the gross amount payable inclusive of recoveries proposed in the bill. When he is recommending for the final approval of the bills, so he has to specify, the section officer has to specify these are the things has to be recovered during the sanction of the bills. Means he has to deduct it and they have to tell that this is the final amount, you have to sanction it. Many times it has happened, they have given the final amount without the recovery of the materials, and each and everything they have to check it, they have to cross verify it, then the final recommendation has to be given to the competent authorities. When the bill is passed for the payment, every page containing the detailed measurement will be scored out of the diagonal red link line. This is very important. The number and the date of the voucher for the payment will be entered in the measurement book. The contractor ledger is a personal account of the contractor where all the transactions regarding the particulars contractor are entered. It is maintained in the divisional officers in the prescribed form. See, one more very important that we have not discussed, this is a contractor ledger. Say we are talking about the measurement book. So that measurement book will be always with the contractor. So then one more very important that has to be maintained in the contractor ledger. See, the contractor ledger means whatever the quantities are there, if he is there in the measurement book, that has to be transferred to the contractor ledger. In that, he has to mention what will be the quantity of work or quantity of work is executed, what are the measurements, how much quantity of work is there. The both should match the contractor's measurements, and this has to match each other. and in that how much percentage of even the amount has to be sanctioned or amount as sanctioned previously, that all the things has to be mentioned. And on that, all that each and every stages the contract has to go, and he has to sign it on the contractor ledger saying that I am working on the site. It is just like attendance by the students in the class. So every day you have to write it, and on that I am attending, I am doing this, all the things has to be written, and when the inspection has happened, and what are the details they have taken, whether all the details are correct or not, that has to be entered into the contractor ledger. And so when you're passing the bills for the payment, so each page what you have to, the declaration, the detailed measurement has to be specified and has to be scored by a diagonal red link line. Okay, this is the final made the number and the date where the running account or running payment has been made. So all the payments, recoveries of adjustments etc are taken in the ledger. Recovery of the debit balance of the ledger should be made from the contractor regularly at the first available chance to avoid the accumulation of the arrears. Suppose today you are giving around 10,000 rupees to the contractors with a total quantity of 1 lakh. So once the payment is made, the voucher number has to be entered in the ledger as well as the payment how much you have made it. Then the balance has to be entered. 90,000 is balance. So each and every time, whenever the contractors uh, are receiving the amount, the final remaining amount has to be entered in the ledger. So that normally we can call it as a contract ledger, and there he has to sign it saying that this is the amount which is pending and this is the work is pending. Normally we can call it as a contractor ledger, and it has to be monitored regularly by the section officers as well as the AWs. For every contractor, a separate ledger is maintained, and each contractor ledger is closed and balanced monthly. The contractor's ledger is maintained by the division, and a specific page of the contract ledger is given in table. This is how it should be maintained. You can see in this the date is there, voucher number I already said that voucher number is there. So serial number of the bill, that always see each and every bill it is having the serial numbers. So net transactions, advance payment, how much you are taking, other transactions, how much you did it, what kind of work you have done it, then the particular of that work, like what is the tendering, what's the contract agreement, all those things that has to be mentioned in that. Then gross transaction, whatever is the debit, how much it is there, how much credit is there, then the total up to the date value of the work or the suppliers. So means how much it is pending, how much has to be completed, that all the things has to be entered. And the remarks, very important thing is the remarks. Suppose remarks means if the advance payment is made, you have to give some remarks saying that just like undertake why the advance payment of this much is made to me. This advance payment is made to me because I have completed this much of work. That kind of remarks can be given even by the contractors based on the remarks of the contractor. The remarks will be given by the higher authorities. So remarks by the contractor, as well as one more column it will be there, remarks by the authorities. Based on the remarks of the contractor, they will give the remarks of the higher authorities. So even you can add one more column, remarks. You make that remarks by the contractor and remarks by the higher authorities. Maybe in the next class we will start with some more kind of explanation on this. The what kind of bills, how much you are maintaining it, and maybe we'll move on to the arbitrator. That's very important questions. Maybe you will get it in even an examination. Last time also it has been asked. Okay, maybe the question will be of like this: what type of bills, different types of bills, explain one by one. what will be the contractor ledger, write a contractor ledger and explain it properly. That kind of questions you may get it in your examination. In the next class, we will start the remaining portions of this uh, measurements of the bells. Thank you.